So, as I said, even though we have finished the Gongchik commentary, since I will still be able to do a few more of these classes before I get on the road, and while I'm on the road away from home, I like to do these classes still, but then reality often don't agree with what I like. And part of that reality is not just, it will be lying to say, oh, technology is not good, internet are not stable, which could be true. But part of that reality is also feeling tired or exhausted and not feeling like the space is conducive. So all sorts of reasons, yeah, including my own laziness. So to be honest about it. But since I still going to be here for a few days, I thought let's continue until I feel like I cannot, because there's a lot of things to take care of before leaving also. And usually, when I get closer, of course other people don't usually remember, when I'm leaving. Then suddenly they realize that I'm leaving. Then they also have things that they would like me to help finish, before I leave. So all sorts of things. Anyway, I thought that as long as we're able to meet, we should, also do some study. After all, to study or to learn is the first aspect of acquiring understanding, clarity, and what we finally call wisdom. So wisdom or acumen or clarity that arises through studying, through learning, then through contemplating, through thinking, through considering, and then finally through implementation, through carrying it out. These three types of wisdoms of learning. So what I want to do is, there is a translation, very rare actually, in terms of teachings of Pakmodrupa, Gyoba Jigdensumgen's teacher. Very few texts have been translated into English of Pakmodrupa's teachings. Even Gyoba Jigdensumgen's teachings, 12 volumes of his collected words, collected teachings, I would say, it's like if that is an ocean, only a few drops of water from that ocean have been translated into English. And so much more for Pakmodrupa's teachings. So far, not much has been translated. But one of the very helpful texts that he composed that has been translated is this called The Gradual Manner to Engaging in the Buddha's Teachings in Stages, or the gradual manner of engaging in the Buddha's teachings. The gradual manner of engaging in the Buddha's teachings. Also published by the publishers in Germany. Also means a little challenging to get them. They come in a handsome set in 2 volumes, because in those 2 volumes there are 2 translations into English. So if you're a real nerd, you can compare the 2 English translations and see which one is better. Then also the Tibetan original is also there. If you're a real nerd, then you also learn the Tibetan. Then you look at the 2 translations. This particular text consists of 2 parts actually. First, Lord Pakmodrupa composed the root verses. The root verses is not long, actually, only 2 pages. You cannot really see, I realize. Only 2 pages, the root verses. Then from the root verses, he gives his own commentary to his root verses. And his root verses basically is divided into 10 chapters. I'll read the 10 chapters. First chapter called The Individual and Faith, meaning what quality does a disciple, does an individual need to have in terms of the outer qualities. And that's the leisures and endowments that we talk about. The freedoms and endowments. 8 freedoms, 10 endowments. And then faith are the inner qualities that a disciple needs to have. So that's chapter 1. Chapter 2 talks about the qualities that the teacher needs to have. The third, contemplating the freedoms and endowments that are difficult to find, contemplating death and impermanence, contemplating the shortcomings of cyclic existence, going for refuge. That's chapter 6. Chapter 7, karma, cause and effect, and the vows of individual liberation. 8, cultivating love and compassion. 9, arousing bodhicitta. 10, fruition, the 3 kayas. So in some ways, this is a shorter version, less detailed than Gampopa's Jewel Ornament of Liberation. Jewel Ornament of Liberation, Gampopa's Jewel Ornament of Liberation is not in verses, it's in prose. So the root text of Jewel Ornament is in prose. Long text, very detailed. And the arrangement of the topics are a little different. Pakmodrupa's is composed in these verses, and then he writes his own commentary for the verses. So, and these types of writings are called lamrim in Tibetan. Lamrim. Lamrim means stages of the path. So that means the path to awakening taught in a way that is gradually, you're gradually exposed to the different topics. In other words, you could think of it as a systematic way of introducing you to the process, to the path. Then a slightly different kind of literature, different kind of writing is called Tenrim, stages of teachings. Ten is Tenpa, the teachings. Stages of teachings. Then stages of the path. Lamrim and Tenrim, for your purposes, for our purposes, you could say it's the same. It's like systematically being introduced to all the important teachings with regards to when it comes to what we need to know in our process of going from confusion to awakening. That's what the path is. We speak a lot about path. Path, what is path? Path is the process from confusion to complete enlightenment. So anyway, here, I'm not going to start a new text. I'm turning to chapter 7 of this text, which is called the chapter on karma, cause and effect, and the vows of individual liberation. So we will look at that. Yeah? So in the in there, in that chapter, by Pakmodrupa, he summarizes the teachings on karma. So in a way you could say there are many things to know about this topic of karma, karmic causality. In fact, the essence of what the Buddha realized, what made Siddhartha into a Buddha, the final kind of cause, you could say, that made Siddhartha go from a non-Buddha to a Buddha, is when Siddhartha gained the power, gained the ability to see the exact relationship between causes and effects. The relationship between cause and effect, the general principles, both you and I can understand easily. Not much problem. But as to the exact, relationship between a particular cause and a particular effect, and what are the other conditions that are at play, and what are the other possible causes that might be at play, that might be involved, only when someone has become a complete and perfect Buddha can they see that clearly. So from that perspective, what you can understand from this with regards to this topic of the karmic cause and effect, karmic causality, is a very profound topic, not easily understood. Yeah. But in terms of our process, our path to awakening, at the very least, we need to know these basic things about what karma is. So we'll look at this. So in the root verses, that Pakmodrupa wrote for this section, he says this: Samsara and nirvana are not without causes. Samsara and nirvana are not without causes. And they do not arise from non-accordant causes, meaning they do not arise from wrong causes. That means they arise unmistakably. So reflect on cause and result. So those are the 3 lines for this chapter. So for this topic. So let me read again. Samsara and nirvana are not without causes, and they do not arise, meaning samsara and nirvana do not arise from non-accordant causes or discordant causes, meaning unrelated causes. So reflect on cause and effect. Just these 3 lines, 1 chapter of explanation. So here Pakmodrupa begins by saying, okay, great, see, Omar has taken a picture of this page and shared it in the chat. Those of you who are able to look at your chat window for Zoom, you can download that page. So Pakmodrupa says, well, if you should think, it is not certain that the nature of samsara is suffering, or the protection from samsara are the 3 rare and supreme ones, or there is a means, or that there is a means of liberation from samsara is true. So if you're not clear about these things, so these are topics covered in the chapters before this chapter. which is like the nature of samsara by definition is suffering, and what are the different types of suffering, and then what can protect you from this. The three jewels can protect you from this, and not only just protect you from this, you can actually be free from samsara. If you're not clear about this, then he says, then to gain confidence about this, you should now consider Buddha's teachings on karma, on cause and effect. So as for that, and then he quotes his 3 lines. Samsara and nirvana are not without causes, and they also do not arise from discordant, non-accordant causes. So now reflect on cause and effect. Then he goes on to say, here there are 4 points. So we can divide his discussion into 4 points. 1, the subcategories of karma and result. Literally, the word karma means cause or actions. Actions that serve as cause. And result. So the subcategories of cause and result, showing their respective natures, explaining the proofs of this principle, this law of cause and effect. And based on this, then explaining the vows of individual liberation. The first level of the 3 vows, the vows of individual liberation. So, with regards to cause and effect, there are basically 2 categories that we need to know, Pakmodrupa says. So, cause and result contaminated with afflictive emotions, and cause and result not contaminated with afflictive emotions. Yeah. So basically, we can say there is cause and result tainted with afflictive emotions, and there's cause and result untainted with afflictive emotions. Right now, mostly what we create are the causes and results tainted with afflictive emotions. Buddhas engage in cause and result that are completely untainted, uncontaminated with afflictive emotions. Then as we progress along the path, as we proceed in this process of going from confusion to enlightenment, then we should be refining the causes and results that we're involved with, so that they become more and more uncontaminated with afflictive emotions. So coming back to Pakmodrupa's commentary, karma and result contaminated with afflictive emotions fall into 3 further categories. First one, non-meritorious cause and effect, meritorious cause and effect, and non-moving, unmoving cause and effect. So even though we say it's tainted by clashes, by afflictive emotions, it is not automatically or completely non-meritorious, non-virtuous. It's not completely non-meritorious. There are meritorious, there are actions, though contaminated by the 3 poisons, that can produce a temporary happiness, temporary pleasures, temporary enjoyments. So that's the second category. First category are non-meritorious cause and result. First category. Second subcategory, meritorious cause and result. Third, non-moving cause and result. As to the non-meritorious cause and result, the karma or cause of birth in one of the three lower realms is non-virtue. So the first type of cause and result, which is non-meritorious, which leads to rebirth in the three lower realms, hell realm, hungry ghost realm, and animal realm. This is due to non-virtue, unskillful actions. Concerning meritorious karma, the cause of birth in the desire realm as a human being, as a demigod, and as a god, these are contaminated virtue, and they arise from the practice of generosity, disciplined conduct, and patience. And concerning immovable karma, the meditative absorption of calm abiding is the cause of birth as a god in the form and formless realm. And so basically, what Pakmodrupa here is pointing out is our karma determines where we are born continuously within this cycle of birth and death. With regards to this cycle of birth and death, there are three realms. There is the sensual realm, there is the form realm, there is the formless realm. Form and formless are actually divine realms. Form is actually not referring to coarse form that you and I have. It's referring to these very refined forms that the human eye cannot see. So those are the form and the formless realms. Then there is the sensual realm, the realm of the senses. Within the realm of the senses, you have the lowest in the realm of the senses is the hell realm, followed by the realm of hungry ghosts, followed by the realm of animals, followed by the realm of humans, followed by the realm of the demigods, the asuras, the titans, sometimes translated as that, and the gods of the sensual realm, desire realm. So there are some divine states of existence within this third, this realm of the senses. So in Sanskrit it's called Kamaloka. Kamaloka is the sensual realm. So there are the gods of the Kamaloka. Then there is the Rupa Loka. So there are divine beings in this Rupa Loka. And then there are these beings born in the Arupya Loka. Arupya Loka. So these are the three different lokas. The three different lokas. So here, what Pakmodrupa is doing is he says that then with regards, since karma gives rise to either samsara or nirvana. So what kind of karma gives rise to nirvana or takes us to nirvana? The second type, which is karma not contaminated. Then contaminated karma, what does that lead to? It leads to the various levels within samsara. Non-meritorious karma, karma that is completely non-meritorious, they will lead to only the realities of hell realm, hungry ghost realm, and animal realm. Meritorious karma, now still contaminated, but meritorious karma, leads to the realities of human realm, demigod realm, and the gods of the sensual world, the Kamaloka. Yeah. Then what he calls immovable karma. Then he says the immovable karmas, the immovable causes, leads to the reality of the form realm and the formless realms. Because to achieve these form and formless realms, the mind has to have achieved various levels of immovability of the mind, meaning cultivating samadhis. More and more stable states of samadhis will then lead to more and more advanced or higher and higher levels of rebirth within the Rupa Loka and the Arupya Loka. You're following so far? Any questions? Questions are good. It'll help clarify. Make sure we are all still at the same place. It's good, as I say, you no need to take notes so much, but as I'm talking, you chart out, then you'll know the categories that Pakmodrupa is helping us have a mental image of. So first of all, right, as for cause and effect, two types. So two arrows, cause and effect, two arrows. Cause and effect contaminated with kleshas, cause and effect not contaminated with kleshas. This chapter will mainly look at cause and effect contaminated. So then we go down that side. Then under that side, 3. Non-meritorious cause and result, meritorious cause and result, unmoving cause and result. Then of the 3, mostly we will be looking at non-meritorious cause and result. Now, in most cases, I'm reading his commentary, non-meritorious karma is subsumed in the 10 non-virtues. So he's telling you, mostly what then we need to know are about the 10 non-virtues. The 10 non-virtues. The fruition of this karma has 3 aspects. So now, further down that side, non-meritorious karma. The fruition of this karma, this type of karma, has 3 aspects. The completely ripened result, the cause concordant result, and the dominating result. As for the completely ripened result, what are we talking about? Here he defines it. When the 10 non-virtues are developed fully, then the completely ripened results, which are, the 3 lower realms, they come about. More specifically, here he says, when the non-virtue of killing is fully developed, and the non-virtue of divisive speech, destructive speech, and ill will. So this is four of the 10 non-virtues. The first one is a physical non-virtue, killing. Then the next two, divisive speech and what I call destructive speech, meaning here translated as harsh speech, a speech that destroy people. And the fourth one here, ill intent, is one of the 3 karmas of mind. When these 4 karmas are fully developed, then they create the hell realms. The result of taking what is not given, of sexual misconduct, and of covetousness. I want. This gives rise to the reality of hungry ghost realm. Then the result of lying, deceptive speech, distracted speech, idle chatter, and false view, or wrong view, leads to the reality of the animal realm. So now 10 non-virtues related to the 3 lower realms. Again, you can chart that out. Yeah. For each of the 10 non-virtues, there is also a difference in the degree of severity by which one is born in the 3 lower realms. So there is the degree of severity. The severity that depends on the object, the weight of the afflictive emotion involved, and the weight of the amount. Amount means, how much of that particular non-virtue have you done to how many, to how many people. Severity depending on the object, meaning with regards to your 10 non-virtues, who have you committed this non-virtue towards? So that's the meaning of object. So it matters, whether you, the object that you killed, the object that you lied to, the object that you are spreading false rumors about. Depending on the object, the result comes about separately, differently. Yeah. So here, continuing in Pakmodrupa's commentary, whichever of the 10 non-virtues one commits in respect to the supreme objects, like the 3 jewels, and etc., meaning like the 3 jewels, our Dharma teachers, whichever of the 10 non-virtues one commits in respect to supreme objects like the 3 jewels and so on, has grave, fully ripened consequences. So, within the non-virtue of killing, to kill one's own father, who is also a partaker Buddha, or one's own mother, who is an arhat, this is the worst of killings. Like the worst case scenario, you know. Now, the way that is phrased, you know, killing your father who is a partaker Buddha, or your mother who is an arhat, you know, is because this is referring to the 5 most heinous acts, right? Karma, which is killing your father, killing your mother, killing an arhat or partaker Buddha, causing a Buddha to bleed. Because here, why causing the Buddha to bleed is different from killing an arhat or partaker Buddha is the point that nobody has any ability to kill a Buddha. At most, what you can do to a Buddha is to cause them to bleed, to harm them that way. It's not possible to kill a fully enlightened Buddha. And then the 5th one of the 5 heinous acts is splitting, causing a break, causing the splitting up of a monastic sangha. That's the 5th. So here it says, with regards to object, you know, the worst thing that you could do is to kill your father or your mother, and they happen to be arhats. As for stealing, to steal from the 3 jewels is most serious. As for sexual misconduct, sexual intercourse with one's mother or father, who is also an arhat, that is the most serious. For lying, to deceive a learned master or a spiritual master is the worst. For divisive talk, to cause a schism in the sangha is the worst. Harsh speech, to speak to the sangha here sangha, you know, mostly is talking about monastic, yeah. But of course, you can apply it beyond monastic. To speak to the sangha in a bad way is the worst. The non-virtue of distracted speech, idle chatter, to disturb the mind of a fully ordained person while that person is meditating. That's the worst. You go blah, blah, blah to them. The virtue of covetousness, to be hankering after the possessions of the 3 jewels, is the worst. Within the non-virtue of ill intent, to intend to commit any of the 5, those 5 heinous acts that I talk about, that is the worst. Then within the non-virtue of false view, to disparage karma, to say, cause and effect, karmic causality, all this is nonsense. That is the worst that you could do. Through any of these 10 severe non-virtues and other negative acts committed in respect to superior objects, one is reborn in the hell realms. For the most part, any of the 10 non-virtues committed with respect to an ordinary person will lead to rebirth as a hungry ghost, and for the most part, any of these 10 non-virtues committed with respect to lowly beings, animals and the like, will result in rebirth as an animal. The other 2 measure of severity has to do with the weight of the afflictive emotions. So if you are motivated by the affliction of hatred, then this is the heaviest. If you are motivated by desire or attachment, this is middling. If you are motivated by mental darkness or ignorance, this is the least of the 3 in terms of severity. Now, footnote, okay. Elsewhere, Jigten Simgan says, although mental darkness or ignorance, although from this perspective is the least severe, right? But understand, he says that for long-term purposes, then ignorance is actually more dangerous. More dangerous than attachment and aversion. Attachment and aversion, the results of those negative states of mind, will manifest and become obvious quickly. But ignorance, by definition, is not knowing. And when you don't know, you don't know, you don't know. And that will keep you not knowing forever. Or you don't know, and you think you know. That's ignorance. That's even scarier. There is the you don't know that you don't know. And then there's the don't know and you don't know, but you think you know. That's even more dangerous. Then better is you don't know, then, well, by definition, if you don't know, then you just don't know, right? I was going to say, you know that you don't know, then then the weight in terms of amount. Through an amount beyond measure, you are born in the hell realms. Through a medium amount, you are born in the hungry ghost. Through a slight amount, you are born as an animal. So amount means, the frequency that you have created this negative karma, and then towards how many you have created this or that negative karma. So there are 3 ways. So these are all different variations. So you can kind of begin to see the general principles easy to understand, but when it gets into a complex situation, very hard to fully understand. Yeah? So these are the 10 non-virtues. Now, next time we meet tomorrow, I want to then go look at the jewel ornament of liberation, where he discusses a little bit more in terms of how, in more details about each of the 10 non-virtues. Yeah? So then we can look at more closely in terms of the 10 non-virtues and the definitions given in the jewel ornament of liberation. So today we will stop here. Chanju sem choren poche ma ge ba nam ge gyurche ge ba nyam pa me pa yang gong ne gong du bel wer shuo. Okay, ta-ta everyone.